All right, in example number 2, we have a cosine graph. So again, the equation is y equals a cosine b theta. A is going to represent your amplitude, so let's get your amplitude here. Our amplitude in this case is -1/2, but amplitude's always positive, so that's positive 1/2. Your number of cycles here is 2, so we're going to need to know the period, and the period is 2 pi over b. So this is 2 pi over b, which in this case is 2. So here our period is pi. So we're going to need to know the amplitude and the period. And now we know we have a negative cosine graph. So negative cosine starts at a negative and then goes up. So again, I'm going to draw myself a rough sketch here. Starts at negative, goes to 0, goes to a positive, goes back to 0, goes back to a negative. Okay? So our first point we're going to graph is at x equals 0, which is down at negative our amplitude, which is 1/2. So we start at -1/2. Okay? Each block here is a half, so we're going down 1 block. Okay? Now we need to know the distance between the first and the last point. Well, that is the period. So the distance between here and here is pi. So here's our first point. Our last point in our cycle is at pi. And at pi, you're down at -1/2. We start at -1/2 and we end at -1/2. Okay? Remember, your y values start and stop at the same point. Now, once you have that, the rest is as easy. We're going to go to the middle. Once you're at the middle, where's the middle of 0 and pi? Well, that's pi over 2. Okay, so this is pi over 2 right here. That's pi over 2 on your graph, that marking there. Should be a little clearer on your copy. It's pi over 2. And where are we? Well, we're up at the positive value of our amplitude. Our amplitude was a half, so here we're at positive 1/2. Okay? Then we go to the middle. Where's the middle of this? Well, it doesn't have a marking, but I think we can see that this dash mark is the middle of these two, between 0 and pi over 2. This is actually pi over 4. And where should we be? We should be right on the x-axis. Okay? Then we're going to go to the middle on this half. Where's this point? Well, the middle of here and here, there's a little dash mark there. That does look like the middle. It actually is. And where are we? We're right on the x-axis again. So here is our first cycle of our cosine graph. Okay? And now, because it's a periodic function, we know it's going to keep repeating at the regular interval. So it looks like every marking, there was a point. So at the next marking, we're going to have another point. Well, if we're at -1 here, this is going to be back at 0. The next marking will be back up at positive 1/2. At the next marking, which doesn't look like there is a marking, but if we look here, here's a mark, there's a mark. Well, exactly in the middle, looks like that would be about 1.5 blocks in from each side. 1.5 blocks this way, 1.5 blocks that side. We have another point. The reason why you can't see it is because it's right on the value there. It's right on the vertical line. And then at 2 pi, we're back down at -1. Okay? Well, how many cycles do we have here? We have 1, 2 cycles. Well, how many cycles did we anticipate having? B, remember B is the number of cycles between 0 and 2 pi, and we did have 2 cycles. Okay? So, on this particular one, since we already have 2 cycles in between 0 and 2 pi, that's all I want you to graph. The only time I want you to go into the negatives is if you can't get a full cycle in on the positives. Okay? Next video, we'll do the last example.